Athanasia, a young princess born without magic, lost her mother and was left in the hands of a cruel father who despises her and seeks her death. Yet she holds a power far greater than any spell, the ability to see her tragic fate at the hands of her tyrant father. But will she find a way to escape this dark destiny, or is her future already sealed? Our story begins on a stormy night, with the birth of the little princess, whom her mother named Athanasia, meaning immortality. The little girl was born without any magical power, but when her mother kissed her, a magic circle appeared on her forehead. The mother then wept and passed away. The servants quickly gathered because of an order from His Majesty the Emperor to gather all the possessions of his wife Diana in the palace and burn them without a trace. He commanded them never to mention his newborn daughter's name in front of him, as he had never loved his wife. Several days pass. We see the servants in the palace with the young princess Athanasia, but they don't care for her much. The hungry little princess falls asleep and enters a magical dream world filled with magic circles. She approaches a magic crystal with a book inside. When she draws close and bites the crystal, it breaks and the magic book emerges. As she opens it, Athanasia hears her mother's voice telling her, "Take care of yourself. This is your future." She then sees a glimpse of her future as a young princess standing in the palace before her father and everyone, being put on trial for violating the decree and using a black magician to plot her father the emperor's assassination. Athanasia cries intensely, telling her father it didn't happen and that they are mistaken, as all she ever wanted was his love. She begs him to save her. Her father, the emperor, tells her that she is not his daughter and that he has never loved her, then leaves, ordering them to imprison her forever. We return to reality. Athanasia wakes up, crying hysterically, and thinks to herself, "This cannot be my future." The maid Lilian York immediately rushes in, holds her, and tries to calm her down. Princess Athanasia thinks to herself that Lilian is the only one who comforts her. She is a count's daughter and her mother's friend who gave up her life in a noble family to come to the palace as a maid to care for Athanasia. Without her, Athanasia would have been left to starve. She says to herself, "I'm just an infant princess, yet I know my future. Will anyone believe me?" All she knows now is that this is a world of magic, and every noble can use it. According to the legend, there is a tower that is the source of all magic, where a great magician resides, of whom it said that it would be easy for him to erase the empire. However, the one with even more amazing magical powers is the emperor, her father. But Athanasia sees him as an unjust emperor who banished and imprisoned her for a crime she didn't commit in her future dream. Athanasia tries to sleep again, but wakes up crying, seeing the same nightmare, and determined that this will never be her future. 3 years pass. We see the servants cleaning the palace. A new maid talks to an older one, saying she didn't expect the Ruby Palace to be so lively, as she'd heard the atmosphere there was always gloomy. She mentions she came to the palace to care for the princess, whom she heard was very lovely and is eager to meet her. We see Princess Athanasia in her room surrounded by many books. She looks out the window and asks the servants where they are going. A maid tells her that the flowers have bloomed beautifully, so they're going to tend to them. The princess gets excited and goes with them to help. She puts on working clothes and helps them with the decorations. While walking through the palace, she sees the new maid standing by one of the palace room doors, seemingly searching for something. Athanasia approaches and asks her what she's doing. The maid nervously says she is new and got lost. She looks at Athanasia and mistakes her for the gardener's daughter, not knowing she is Princess Athanasia. Athanasia asks her where she wants to go. The maid says she wants to go to a place full of shiny gold. Athanasia suggests the place with the golden wheat, golden bread, or sunflowers. The maid gets angry and tells her she means shiny, precious things. Athanasia informs her that valuable things are kept where people cannot see them and asks the maid to follow her. They arrive at the kitchen and stand outside. The maid asks Athanasia, "Are you mocking me, little girl? Does it make sense to keep valuables in the kitchen?" Athanasia explains that the Ruby Palace has been abandoned for years, so even if there were valuable items, they would have been taken out a long time ago. The maid then asks about the emperor. Athanasia tells her that His Majesty is too busy to care about them. They see the maid Hannah come out with a tray of sweets. When the new maid sees it, her eyes light up because the tray is decorated with real, genuine gemstones. She asks how Athanasia can get into the kitchen. Athanasia tells her to wait a moment, then goes to Maid Hannah and asks for a few sweets. Maid Hannah agrees. Just as she is about to give her the sweets, Maid Says approaches and tells Hannah that it is not permissible to give Princess Athanasia things without permission. Athanasia approaches Says and pleads with her. Maid Says is softened by her cuteness and gives her the entire tray of sweets, telling her not to tell Maid Lilian. Athanasia takes the sweets and goes with the new maid to the kitchen. When the maid sees the golden plates and spoons, her eyes gleam and she tries to steal them. She gathers many golden objects and even removes the gemstones from the serving dishes, filling her bag. However, Princess Athanasia notices this, takes the stolen items from her, and tells her that it all belongs to her. The maid takes a knife and approaches Athanasia, chasing her. The princess quickly tries to escape, then unties a rope of a chandelier, causing it to fall on the thief maid. Many servants rush towards the kitchen to check on the little princess. The guards take the thief away, and they leave. At night, Maid Lilian is brushing the little princess's hair and tells her she was very worried about her today because of the thief maid. The princess tells her she's fine, gives her a flower, and thanks her. When it's bedtime, the princess sleeps in her bed, and Maid Lilian leaves the room. The princess speaks to herself, saying, "I'm glad you're safe, Lillian. That's thanks to the prophetic dream I had. If I hadn't done that today, Lillian would have caught the maid, and the thief would have stabbed her in the stomach, and Lillian would have died," she continues. "My name is Athanasia, the magical princess who cannot use magic. But I have a secret. I can see my own future. As for my father, he never loved me, and I believe that this terrible dream is likely my destiny. But I do not intend to simply accept it." The scene shifts to His Majesty the Emperor's palace. A guard enters his room with a correspondence, informing him that, according to the knight's reports, a thief entered the Ruby Palace and attacked the little princess, but she managed to handle the matter herself, and the thief was captured. The Emperor gets angry and tells the guard he doesn't want to hear those details. The scene then moves to a strange man who wakes up and says, "Who is this who dares to deny the destiny of the Obelian Empire?" He then looks towards the palace. The scene shifts to the servants, perhaps at the royal palace, while Anastasia observes the events from afar. Due to the incident with the thief, the number of people in the kitchen has increased. It will now be very difficult to enter. She says to herself, "I won't let anything like this make me lose my real hope of collecting money." She loves gold or shiny things a lot. She had taken many golden dolls. At that moment, she enters and speaks to the servants, saying, "Good evening, I would like to eat some chocolate, please." All the girls are astonished and very happy that she is asking for something. Indeed, in just a few moments, they prepare the chocolate for her. Everyone was happy with her presence, as she is a beautiful and pleasant girl. The scene moves to Anastasia as she is eating the sweet treat next to the fountain and talking to herself about her dream boy, speculating she might meet him when she turns 19, or perhaps even sooner. "My luck will be wonderful, I think," she concludes. Then she remembers Lila and says, "I will take Lila with me, I will never leave her." At that moment, the chocolate drips onto her and stains her clothes, so she decides to wash herself in the fountain. Unfortunately, she nearly falls. She looks at her reflection in the water and remembers people's words when they told her that she looks very much like her mother, while her eyes resemble her father's. However, in terms of magical powers, she unfortunately possesses none. Regarding her eyes, they are very distinctive, but Anastasia says that in reality there is another girl named Jeanette who possesses the same eyes. Then she says, "This doesn't mean anything to me. I must escape as soon as I gather the money. When I collect the money, I will immediately run away." She had a pouch of dinars, coins, with her, and she decided to hide it in the forest, because the front security at the palace is very strict. She kept walking until she reached a certain place and wondered, it's not the Ruby Palace, so what is this place? She approached it more closely and entered, finding it completely empty. She remembers hearing some maids say that they were going to reinforce the security well and specifically search the princess's room. Therefore, she quickly ran under her bed, took her money, and went with it to the forest to hide it. However, after a few days, she returns once more to retrieve it. She searches for it left and right. At that moment, she finds that a squirrel has dug it out. She calls out, "Wait, little squirrel," but it doesn't heed her and runs away quickly. Here, she decides to look for a peanut to offer it so it will leave her jewelry and eat the peanut instead. The plan was successful. This means that there is now no safe place in the forest. She thinks and says, "I must find a safer place." Then she remembers that rented place and goes to it directly. She walks through its halls and finds no one. How can this towering place be shelterless and unknown to anyone, she wonders. Not only that, but she kept walking until she reached the main square, where she finds statues, perhaps made of pure gold. But here the great surprise happens. She turns around and finds two large people who say, "Since when was this small insect in our palace?" But one of the people deduces that her eyes are exactly the same as his own. She says to him, "Father," but we don't know now if he is her father or not. She then asks, "What exactly is the story? Is this my father? Is this the Demon King's palace? Did I come to the wrong place? Where exactly can I get out of here? I want to escape quickly." The man tries to remember and eventually recalls a girl who was indeed riding a horse. He remembers her and says, "You are Anastasia." Then he recalls what happened at that time when the servants were sitting and said, she was a good girl named Anastasia, which is what her mother named her. He says to her, "You have grown up a lot." Then he holds her cheeks and pinches them a few times. Then he tells his servant, "Bring tea immediately." She tries to run away because she doesn't want to drink tea with him, but he catches her quickly. Then her jewels fall onto the floor. After that, they enter the palace, and the sitting arrangement was very awkward. Anastasia says, "What a boring session. Does he want me to speak or say something? How long will I just sit here?" He speaks to her and says, "Are you always silent? Can't you speak? Come on, speak, Annie. I won't do anything to you." Finally, she speaks, and he hears her voice after a session of silence. He brings her cake and food, but she was very shy. His servant enters again, but he tells him to go outside. Then he talks to her about himself, revealing that he is the emperor who once caused chaos in that land, burned much, and misled people. But he is now no longer as he was before. He tells her, "Come on, drink the tea and eat the food, Annie." She was nervous and said, "What should I call him? What should I say to him? Should I call him father?" Then she decides to address him by that name. Claude looked at her but did not answer, causing Anastasia to become tense because she had addressed him specifically as father. She feared he would immediately banish her, thinking she should have just called him Your Majesty the Emperor like anyone else. The scene then shifts to the chief maid, Lillian, talking with the other girls, telling them they must fan out to search for the princess. Suddenly, the princess appears before them, running and crying. The chief maid embraces her and asks where she had been, as she was extremely worried. The royal guard then speaks to Lillian, explaining that the emperor had informed him that he would be summoning his daughter again. Anastasia cries, hating the idea and not wanting to see him again. He had been so cruel before, and she didn't know what he was trying to do. He had decided that he would personally supervise the princess from now on, but she resolved not to let him tempt her with sweets. Anastasia then goes with the chief maid, Lillian, to see her father, the emperor. The emperor welcomes her and tells her it's been a long time since they last met. She replies that he is right. She had the honor of meeting him last time, 5 years ago. The emperor is surprised that she remembers that. Before he can finish speaking, Anastasia feels so nervous she wants to throw up. Her father is the emperor of the Obelian Empire, and everyone calls him a great man, but she knows he is cruel and greatly merciful, sarcastically. The emperor then speaks, saying that he was unable to care for her due to being busy with government affairs, and he entrusts her health and vitality to Lillian. Anastasia understands that he is lying. It's not that he couldn't care for her. If he had wanted to, her life would have been enjoyable. She just wants him to continue leaving her alone and let her return immediately. The emperor continues, informing Lillian that he heard everything about the incident at the Ruby Palace. From now on, he will personally oversee the princess, and she will receive treatment appropriate for a princess. We move to the maid staff, where Hannah tells her friend, Shez, that she never imagined the king would come to the Ruby Palace, and they are now certain that the princess's life will be filled with happiness. We then see the emperor sitting with the princess at a garden table for breakfast. The princess is still nervous and thinks to herself that she was supposed to avoid her father and live quietly, as her future disaster is caused by meeting him. As long as she never meets him, she can change her future. Yet this is extremely frustrating. The maids place many sweets on the table. The princess is amazed and thinks this is indeed appropriate princess treatment. She thinks to herself that her father was very cold to her before, and she doesn't know what he is trying to do with her. Could it be poisoned? She resolves not to let this cake tempt her. The emperor asks her why she hasn't eaten, saying he feels she suspects the sweets are poisoned. The princess is shocked that he might be able to read her thoughts. She tells him she likes cake, but Lillian warned her not to eat too many sweets or her teeth would rot. The emperor is surprised since she ate some yesterday. However, she can't hold back any longer. She takes a bite of the cake and finds it incredibly delicious. Nothing has ever tasted this good. She can't believe she dropped her guard because of a small cake like this. She then decides to eat the whole cake, as it would be wasteful to leave any piece of it. At that moment, the servants and the emperor's guard watch her from afar, relieved that she seems to be relaxing a little. The emperor asks his daughter to join him for a tea session every day. And so, the life of Anastasia began, where she saw her father every day, even though she didn't know why he suddenly started playing the role of a happy family with her. This made her very tense, but every now and then something nice would happen. The princess always tries to perfect things, but this only increases her tension. She tries to learn many things for her father, and every time she makes a mistake, she believes it's over for her. But for some reason, it seems her father has no intention of criticizing her. Perhaps he regrets what happened and is trying to be kind to her, and she believes she is not as afraid of her father as she was before. Anastasia sleeps, and in the morning she gets ready to go for a stroll in the imperial grounds as she heard there were flowers by the lake. She goes out to her father happily, strolling in the garden and picking many flowers. She runs and plays in the garden with joy. Her father reaches her and tells her he will show her the way and take her in a boat. Lillian informs him that the princess is uncomfortable with water, but the princess reassures Lillian and asks her not to worry, saying she must do what her father asks of her. The emperor says he will stay with her, so why is she worried? Or does she hate the idea? The princess replies that she didn't mean that at all. She wants to go with him anywhere. Indeed, the princess gets into the boat with her father alone. The princess is very scared when they are by themselves. He stares at her all the time, and she doesn't know what she should say. She is so tense that she can barely breathe. The emperor asks what she is thinking. She becomes more nervous and tells him that the weather is beautiful, the lake is beautiful, and then tells him his hair is very bright and beautiful, admitting that his hair is indeed beautiful. Every time she sees something golden, she thinks of pure gold. The emperor understands that she loves shiny things very much and tells her that she has her jewels and the day will come for her to take them. The princess says that time is passing slowly and the wind carries the scent of flowers, which is a very pleasant feeling. Thinking about it now, she doesn't know how they are moving. They aren't rowing anything, yet the boat is moving. She believes this might be because of her father's magic. She looks at his clear blue eyes, like a blue sapphire. She wonders to herself if her father would have loved her if she could use magic. Then the princess sees a blue lotus flower and is captivated by its beauty and sweet fragrance. We see Anastasia, greatly captivated by the look of the flowers. She wants to touch and take the blue lotus, but she falls into the water. Something strong grips her leg. She calls for her father's help, but he does nothing for her. She then remembers what she dreamt, that because she broke the rules and used dark magic, she would spend the rest of her life in prison. She says, "This was supposed to be my fate always. Despite that, I held on to a little hope. I wished that he would accept me as his daughter." Finally, her father comes and saves her. Afterward, Athi wakes up with Lillian, Lily, by her side to check on her. When Athi realizes her father was the one who saved her, he uses his magic to dry her off. She is very happy that her father is doing all this for her. The Emperor then asks Felix to teach her to swim tomorrow, adding, "It won't be a long story if my daughter drowns." They return to the Ruby Palace, and Athi is overwhelmed by the shock and a cold that has left her bedridden. But she keeps thinking about what happened that day. Lillian tells her that the flower is the dream lotus, which creates an illusion to lure living creatures. Its sole purpose is decoration. As long as there aren't many of them, they aren't dangerous. However, if you don't possess magical powers, you will be attracted by its allure. Athi tells her the problem is that she is very weak, but she doesn't want to drink any more of the medicine because it's too bitter. Lillian tells her she must take it or she won't recover. At night, we see Athi's father by the lake, and then the girl appears, saying to him, "You came to see me?" He tells her that emotions like this were forgotten long ago, but it seems he doesn't hate that girl. Many hands surround Athi's father. We then see Felix very angry and wanting to help the king, saying, "May a shining light illuminate your path someday." Athi's father dismisses him. Afterward, we see Cess rush into Athi's room, saying that many maids have arrived to serve her. Athi is astonished when she sees them. Then Felix arrives, telling her, "I have been assigned to be your guard knight. I look forward to serving you." This concludes today's episode of this anime. Wait for us in the upcoming episodes. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to receive all that is new. So this episode kicks off with Princess Athanasia dreaming. She's dozing off to this gorgeous voice, right? She opens her eyes and she's in this flower-filled garden. She spots her mom way off in the distance. She totally looks like a fairy from a storybook. Athanasia reaches out and calls to her, trying to give her a hug, but then BAM! She wakes up, crying her eyes out because she misses her mom so much. Felix shows up and scoops her up. She notices he's super early today. He tells her His Majesty suggested you guys eat breakfast together. He wants to see you. Athanasia is like, "Yeah, right. My dad would never say that." She looks around and there are 0 knights today, which freaks her out. Felix tells her, "We don't need him today. I'm here. I protect everyone, including your dad, and magic keeps this whole place safe." Felix sets her down and suggests she go wake up the Emperor because he'd be totally thrilled. He closes the door on her. She tries to get out, but nope. Felix has locked her in. She has no choice. She goes in and calls for her dad, getting distracted by this super shiny golden map. She keeps calling for her dad, but no answer, until she finds him crashed out on a couch instead of his bed. She's confused, like, what? She looks at him, then at a portrait of him, and realizes he looks totally different from the guy in her dreams. That guy is pure evil. She tries to wake him, touching his cheek, but he doesn't budge. She tries again, then gets mad and says, "How dare you do all that stuff to me in my dreams?" and starts yanking his ear and cheek to wake him up. Athanasia just keeps messing with her dad's face until his eyes pop open. She then sings to try and put him back to sleep. When Claude finally wakes up, he has breakfast with his daughter. Athanasia tells him, "There's so much stuff in your palace I've never seen, it's super fun." Her dad replies that she should just explore and do whatever she wants in the palace. At that moment, Felix chimes in, informing Claude that Duke Alpheus will arrive any second and actually wants the princess present. Claude orders him to take the Duke to the meeting room, then asks his daughter to come here every day for breakfast before leaving. Athanasia gets stressed about having to come every day, but then she thinks about how her dad said she could explore the palace freely, so she gets up to wander around. When she goes into her dad's room, she sees tons of paintings of the Obelian imperial family. She needs to find her mom's picture because she's positive it has to be somewhere. She really wants to see her face. As she's walking around, she sees her dad's portrait, which confirms her mom's must be there too. She keeps looking until she finds it. Next, we switch to the palace ladies, gossiping about the little princess and how Felix is in charge of her. They're wondering how they'll see an empress grow up who can't even use magic. The emperor is so chill that he doesn't even stress about stuff like this. Even a dancer could become a concubine. Suddenly, the emperor pops up right in front of them and orders them never to say that name again. Then, we see the little princess in her carriage heading home, holding her mom's portrait. As she really looks at it, she remembers the fire that damaged it. She gets really sad about what happened, then thinks about her parents. She never realized her dad hated her mom this much. After that, she goes to sleep. The next morning, she goes to the servants and tells them she's eating breakfast with her dad. They show her the way. She sits down at the table, completely pumped to see her dad. Claude acts super cold, pretending he hasn't seen her, but she doesn't care, because she does most of the talking anyway when they're together. She feels like her dad is bored when she talks, but she ignores that too. All she has to do is not bring up her mom. At that point, Claude asks her what she's thinking about. She asks him about his favorite tea. It smells amazing and she wants to try it. Felix immediately jumps in and tells her that the flavor would be way too strong for her. Athanasia gets sad, but Claude agrees to let her drink it since there's no reason not to. When Felix puts the cup down, she takes a sip and finds it totally delicious, like flowers blooming in her mouth. Everyone gives her a weird look. Athanasia gets nervous, wondering if she said something she shouldn't have. Felix breaks the silence and tells her it's rice tea, and her dad drinks it a lot because he loves it. It's a type of black tea from her mother Diana's homeland. Felix tells Ati again that it's rice tea, which His Majesty drinks a lot, a kind of black tea from Diana's home. Ati had said the same exact thing Diana did when she tasted it. Then the Emperor says, "I don't recall anything like that," and tells Felix, "You're running your mouth too much today, leave us alone." We see Ati is bummed because her dad clearly doesn't want to talk to her about her mom. The Emperor then tells Ati, "You're too young for tea, drink milk instead," and leaves her. Ati gets upset and thinks to herself that he hates her so much and that even in the future, he won't need her. Ati cries and burns all her pictures and drawings. The next day, Ati is sitting alone at the table. The maid apologizes that the Emperor isn't there because he has other business and official duties, so she should start eating first. Ati waits for her dad all the time. Felix shows up in the evening, and as he arrives, she leaves. She then hears the maid talking to Felix. Lately, her appetite has been terrible. She won't even eat sweets. The Emperor's behavior the other day must have shocked her. When Diana was mentioned, his mood totally changed. He doesn't want to talk about her, but I'm sure the princess wants to know about her mom. Felix replies, "But the Emperor's whole mental state was messed up 5 years ago. There are no remaining statues or portraits that show what Diana looked like." Ati stands far away, listening to them talk about her mom. The maid says she wanted to see her mom. Felix interrupts her, saying, "The Emperor can use transfer memory magic. Let's try it. He'll agree for the princess, I'm sure of it." Ati screams at them, "Don't do it. Don't say anything to him. If you talk to him about Diana, he'll hate me even more." She cries, and the maid calms her down. Felix tells her, "The Emperor doesn't hate you or Diana. If you don't believe me, come with me to the Sapphire Palace. Remember when I told you why His Majesty doesn't have a knight assigned to him? The real reason is that he casts protective magic to ensure his safety. Anyone who tries to enter without permission gets blocked. That's why the Sapphire Palace doesn't need guards, and no one tries to get close. This is the extent of his protective magic. Watch from far away." Felix demonstrates that the barrier won't let anyone hostile get in. He concludes, "The Emperor trusts you and Diana. There's no way he hates you." After that, Claude uses his power to restore the images to how they were. He talks to himself, saying, "I was able to forget, but..." He looks at the pictures, and Athanasia walks in. She tells him, "Actually, Ati hasn't seen you for 2 days, so Felix said that if Ati came to see you, you'd actually see Mommy's Ati, but if you were busy, Ati would just leave." As she's walking out, her dad, Claude, grabs her and asks, "Didn't you rest up?" She's confused by his move and wonders, what is he doing? Why did he suddenly pick me up? Then he takes her to the bedroom, lies down on the bed, and tells her to sleep. She tells him she's not sleepy. He asks her to sing that song, the one that drives away his nightmares. Athanasia wonders to herself, does he mean the song from that time when he was pretending to be asleep? She tells him she forgot it. He asks what would help her remember. She tells him, "Just give up, Papa, I really forgot." He tells her that disobeying an imperial order is a serious crime. She thinks to herself, is that a threat? She answers him, "Okay, maybe I do remember. I'll sing for you now." She starts singing, and her dad, Claude, uses his power to make some stars appear. Athanasia falls asleep next to him. He says to himself, what a sassy girl. She's just like her mother. Athanasia dreams of her mother and father in the garden and thinks, I didn't know Papa smiled like that. It's like her mom is saying, this is true happiness. And that's how the episode ends. If you liked the video, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you get all our new stuff.